Hi, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of the BDU podcast. Delighted to have Andrew Howell here today. Welcome, Andrew, to the podcast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. So, kick straight off with it, Andrew. Could you please tell the listeners what exactly you do here in Blockdaemon?
Yeah, so currently I'm the Senior Director of Blockchain Engineering. It's a title that involves wearing many hats. Before I started in Blockdaemon, I kind of worked as a software engineer by trade for, nearly eight or 9 years in the travel technology space. So, we used to build APIs for, the travel industry, for airlines and hotel companies. And during my time there, I worked on a number of R&D projects, building chatbots for, AI systems and things like this. And then, that kind of got me interested in looking at new innovative technologies. And I came across Blockdaemon. I met one of my colleagues at a meetup, blockchain meetup, and we kind of chatted, and a few months later started Blockdaemon. So, that was back in 2018 when we were quite a small company. And over my time here, I've basically helped build out the initial platform to onboard different blockchains. Also looked at the deep dived into a number of different blockchain systems and helped build the team over the last few years. So now I'm kind of the director of that team who manage all of the blockchain infrastructure. There's a number of people in that team who do all sorts of different activities, ranging from onboarding blockchains, making sure that they're monitored up to date. And I kind of oversee that. I also look at what's next in the industry. So, looking at various different sources of content and trying to figure out where are we going as a business and how can we kind of move some of the technology that we built forward and build the platform for the next wave of people who are going to come into this space.
Fantastic. And the next question is, what's a typical day look like for you, Andrew? It's not, in the blockchain world, it's not 9 to 5, it's 24/7. So what does a typical day look like for you?
Yeah, so I get up early in the morning, and typically what I do is I sit with my coffee and I listen to a number of different blockchain podcasts. One of the things I kind of got good at is I put them on double speed so I can cram as much into my day as possible. In this industry, there's a load of different things going on all the time. So you really, to kind of succeed, you need to stay on top of everything. So, during my morning coffee, I also tend to look at Twitter, where a lot of crypto news breaks. This industry is a little bit different than, most. It moves at breakneck speed, and sometimes, Twitter, Telegram, Discord, you got to keep up to speed with these different channels to figure out what's happening. Later on in the day, then I log on to Slack, which is essentially the nervous center of our business. Everything's going on in there. We talk to our clients. We talk to, the various blockchains that we participate with. Also talk to my team and make sure, things are moving forward. See if there's any things that need to be addressed. Is there any outages or is there any systems that might need, maintenance or upgrading? And then, in the afternoon, the US come online, and there will typically be meetings, about various different activities or initiatives that we're taking on in the company. During my day, I also keep a close eye on, different network block explorers, different activity that's happening on the chains that we support, looking for anomalies, looking for, areas that we could improve. And then, being an engineer at heart, if I get an opportunity in the evenings, I'll sit down with the laptop or at the computer and try and hack away on some projects or build some systems or just even learn something new. There's always something to learn. That's kind of a whistle-stop tour of my day.
Fantastic. And in terms of, you mentioned at the start where your career started at and how it transformed where we are today. What would you have liked to know back then that you know now in terms of any important advice that you'd like to give yourself?
Yeah, one of the things that didn't really realize until I fully immersed myself in the industry was that blockchain doesn't sleep. It doesn't abide by weekends or evenings. So there's always something happening. And to my point earlier, there's multiple different channels where activity happens in the space. Twitter, Discord, Telegram. There's all sorts of groups for various different blockchain initiatives or different organizations who are contributing to the space. So one of the things I probably would have told myself is that keeping up with this is a full-time job. It's 24/7. It's not for the faint-hearted. But to truly succeed in this industry, you really need to be able to process information and context switch at a moment's notice. So looking back, I was dabbling in the space since 2013. But really, it's only when I started working fully in this space that you kind of realized that, information flow is really, really important, and keeping up to speed with, the innovations and the developments in the industry is really, really a full-time job.
Fantastic. And you kind of touched on our next question. What do you think is the most important skill that you would identify that lets you to, carry out your role within Blockdaemon?
From my perspective, it's really the ability to absorb information and make, rapid decisions and act on them in an efficient way. So, there could be some network outage, or there could be a critical upgrade that needs to happen on a blockchain that we support, and being able to process that information and react in a timely manner is definitely something that is a skill that you need to have if you want to succeed. There could be multiple streams of activity working, at numerous different times. So during my day, I might have to, process information that might make me pivot to do something completely different that I had unplanned. And also there might be a development that means that, a multi-month project might have to, kick off or manage. So typically, managing multiple streams of work is super important. It's also fascinating because, everything is moving so quick that, there's no real time to take the foot off the gas. So, having the ability to manage various different sources of information, being able to react to them, and being able to mobilize the team where needed is definitely a skill that is super important for me in my role.
Fantastic. And in terms of, energy and enthusiasm, either, what you do in your personal life or here in Blockdaemon, what are the factors that give you energy and enthusiasm to enable to do your job at the highest levels, Andrew?
Yeah, so going back to early in my life, I was introduced to computers, and back then I was fascinated by the systems and how they interacted. In comparison to today's systems, computers were fairly basic, but the opportunities were there to build some really, really interesting things, and that kind of enthused me to constantly keep up to date with technology as it moved forward. I'm lucky enough to have been around just before the internet kind of started and became a household name. So I've kind of grown up with everything from, computers that weren't online to the internet, and kind of watching that grow and growing up with it has been super fascinating for me. And it's really enthused me to kind of build the next generation of, internet systems. Thankfully, my job allows me to do that now. More thankfully, moving into the blockchain space is something that is really, really exciting for me. The imagination back in the early 90s of what the internet could bring. There's a lot of similarities to that in the blockchain space. So what really, really keeps me excited is that we're working at the very forefront of this ecosystem, and we're kind of moving at a breakneck speed as the technology is evolving. And that is really, really exciting for me, because I think blockchain and Web3 technologies are fascinating, and there's definitely an opportunity to revolutionize the internet as we know it. And that really, really gets me excited every day.
Fantastic. You mentioned the 90s there. It brought me back to when our lecturers used to use acetates. So for those who are younger generation, they can Google what acetates mean. So in terms of developments, either here in Blockdaemon or, out there that you've seen in the market, is there anything exciting that you'd like to make the listeners aware of?
Yeah, we're in a unique situation in Blockdaemon. We support over 50 different blockchains on various different networks and ecosystems. And one of the trends that we're seeing is that, there's probably going to be a world of multiple blockchains. Some will disappear, some new ones will pop up. But what we're starting to see is that there's a lot of ecosystems that are starting to evolve. The Cosmos ecosystem, the Ethereum ecosystem, the Solana ecosystem, the Substrate ecosystem. And the new narrative that we're starting to see, and certainly something that really excites me, is the interoperability between these. So, people will eventually build applications that may run on various different blockchains for whatever, reason that for the features that blockchain might offer. And, seeing the connections start to form between these different blockchains is really interesting. What we'll see potentially in the future is value transfer between these different chains and take advantages of what those chains offer. And that is something that is really exciting for me, and also for Blockdaemon, because we support so many different blockchains. We can help, drive that innovation and, bridge these networks together in the most relevant way for the future generation of applications that are going to be built.
Thanks, Andrew. And in terms of the final question for this podcast, if someone's a student or a university graduate, or they're working in industry, not in the blockchain industry, and they want to get into it, what type of advice would you have based on your number of years in the industry that you would, bullet point that would be important?
What I would say is just jump straight in, right? If you don't, you're going to miss out. And the best thing to do is find a project or a community where you think you can add value. It might be as simple as just reading the documentation, finding a flaw, or maybe making a pull request to a GitHub repo that, adds some new insights that could potentially be beneficial for someone. The other kind of things you could do is maybe run your own nodes, or look at some, online courses to build, say, a simple blockchain app with Solidity or something like this. And once you kind of start down that little rabbit hole, all of a sudden a whole new world of information is going to open up to you, and you'll find some really interesting things. Maybe people that you can talk to, follow relevant people on Twitter, join some Discord groups, look on Telegram. And once you start down that kind of journey, you'll soon realize that there's a whole world of information and a whole world of opportunities out there, and you'll definitely find something that interests you. It could be NFTs, it could be, smart contracts, it could be, infrastructure, it could be APIs. And, once you start to go down that path, you'll soon get sucked in. But the one most important thing I would say is there's a lot of things in this industry that could potentially suck you in that might be hype cycles. And what you don't want to do is get brought into, bad communities that are essentially trying to scam you, or maybe, take advantage of your naivety in the industry. So really what you should do as well is try and find a mentor in the space who can help guide you through the crazy landscape that is blockchain. And also, there's a lot of opportunities to find jobs out there. And you don't necessarily need to have years of experience, because this industry is really something that has evolved over recent years. And there's opportunities for anyone to find a really solid job in a company that can add value to the next generation of blockchain applications out there.
Fantastic. And on that fantastic note, Andrew, I'd like to thank you for giving up your time today to appear on the Blockdaemon University podcast. And if anybody would like to find more about yourself, they can refer to the hyperlinks below this podcast. And thanks again, Andrew, for giving up your time.
No worries. It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.